Hello and welcome to the DevOps prerequisite course, the one course that you must go through before starting your DevOps or cloud journey. Hi, my name is Rahul Miklani and I will be your instructor for this course. Students who are absolute beginners and are totally new to IT or the cloud and DevOps world require some additional help in starting their journey. For example, they often run into issues with setting up a basic lab environment using VirtualBox, or they have issues with configuring the right kind of networking in VirtualBox, or they have trouble with working with the Linux CLI, or they have trouble with text editors like VI, and sometimes they have trouble with getting a web server to communicate with database servers, or at other times it's working with data formats like JSON or EMO or so we have identified a gap, and we believe that this is because they are missing some of the basic prereqs. As a DevOps or cloud engineer, it is important to have these basics cleared, and that's why we built this course to bridge that gap. This course helps you get your basics right, so the rest of the journey is smooth. Now, you might be wondering whether you have the background or the experience to get started, and I want to assure you that this course is really for anyone who wants to start their DevOps or cloud journey. Even if you are from a non-IT background, or you don't have a computer science degree, or if you are a college student who has no work experience and wants to start your DevOps or cloud journey. This course is also for those who happens to have some experience as developers and they want to learn a little bit about operations in order to move to a DevOps role. So no coding or no programming knowledge required. So don't worry. So how do we start? How do we work with it? Or how we simplify these concepts? We simplify this concept with live demo. I'll be showing you live demo here on the console itself, so that it's not only theory but live console. You can see how things start working and start your DevOps journey with it. We'll cover some basic Linux commands, some live demos, some complex Linux commands and their live demo. We'll see how Linux package managers works, how Linux services configurations works. We'll give you a live demo of our VI editor. Then we'll move on to VirtualBox, its introduction, its installation on Windows or macOS. And then we'll see VirtualBox connectivity to other VM, to macOS or its networking, and playing with multiple VMs. Then at the end we'll touch Vagrant, we'll showcase a live demo. Then we'll move on to networking, DNS, switching, routing, IP addresses and ports. We'll also give you some file types and its introduction, be it YAML or YAML or JSON or JSON path setting. As soon as we complete all these topics, I assure you that you will be ready to start your DevOps journey with ease. So let's start with a live demo of our basic Linux command session. Well, Linux fundamental and scripting is one of the most essential skills of a DevOps professional. Most of the companies have their environments on Linux, and also many CM tools like Puppet, Chef, and Ansible have their master nodes on Linux. So in this first session, I'll be covering the entire command line part, which is an essential part of DevOps. The topics which we'll cover here are what is Linux, what are its popular commands, and then we'll see how we proceed to our next session. So let us create some test files and see how we proceed with some basic commands. Now let us try to see what is in our directory roadmap. We have test directory and a file called test.txt. Let me clear the screen and then let us try to see our first command. We've already seen VI and cat, but let us again start with cat. Cat means can read, can modify, and can caticate text file. It also displays file contents. Cat -b, this adds line number to the non-blank lines. Cat -n, this adds line number to all the lines. Cat minus S, this squeezes blank lines into one line. Now let us try to create some randomness in the file so that we know how our commands treats blank lines and non-blank lines. If you see, when I do cat minus s, it shows me it doesn't have any blank lines, so it cannot squeeze them. But if I create some blank lines, it will end up squeezing them. S is for squeeze. For example, now I have two blank lines, but if you see, I have pressed return, I have pressed enter. So we have to be very careful that these are non-blank lines. Now cat minus E, this shows dollar at the end of the line. So when you see the blank lines also, it shows dollar, which means this is the end of the line. So cat minus E is end of the line. And then if I have to let us say summarize cat minus V, this shows me or adds the line numbers. Cat minus N add line numbers to all the lines, whereas cat minus B doesn't add to non-blank lines. Whereas cat minus S or cat minus E is for squeezing, and E is to showcase dollar at the end of the line, because sometimes we may have tab or empty spaces. Next, our command is grep. Grep is a search command. It searches for a particular string or a word in a text file. This is similar to doing Control F in Windows, but as we can see, this is CLI. So grep minus I, this returns the result for case sensitive strings. Grep minus N, it returns the matching strings along with their line number. Grep minus V returns the result of lines not matching the search string, opposite. And grep minus C returns the number of lines in which the result has matched the search strings. Similarly, if we go to sort command, this command sorts the result of a search either alphabetically or numerically. It also sorts files, file contents, and directories. Now let us try to sort with options. So I am adding alphanumeric characters so that the sorting you can learn quickly. So if I do sort minus R, the flag returns the results in reverse order. If I do sort minus F, the flag does case insensitive sorting. And if I do sort minus N, it does numerically sorting. Next up is tail. Tail is to see the end of the file. It is complementary to the head command. So the tail command, as the name implies, prints the last n number of data of given input. So by default, it prints the last 10 lines of the specified files. But if you give more than one file name, then data from each file precedes by its file name. Similar to its option, tail minus n gives the last n number of lines, and tail minus c prints the last num bytes from the file specified. LSI minus L we have already seen, so it shows us the contents. Now let us try to change the owner. You will be able to change the owner if you have admin or sudo privileges. Who am I gives you what user you are. For example, here the user is ZV3MY7. Similarly, there are other basic commands such as chmod. This is to change the access permissions of files and directories. Now I'm trying to change the file permissions of test.txt. If I give chmod 444, it will modify to read only. So 4 is for read permission, 2 is for write, 1 is for execute, and 0 is for no permission. Similarly, I have changed the write permissions. So if I try to write, it won't let me write in this file now. It will tell me that this is only a read-only file. Now, our next basic command to proceed is lsof. lsof, while working on Linux Unix system, there might be several files and folders which are being used. Some of them would be visible, some of them will not be. So lsof command stands for list of open file. Right. So list of open file. lsof. This command provides a list of files that are open. Basically, it gives the information to find out which files are open and by which process. With one go, it lists out all files. Similarly, our next command is Ifconfig. Right. So it tells me the details about kernel resident network interfaces. It is used at the boot time to set up interfaces. Second is ID. ID is also a similar command which is used to find out the user and group names and its numeric ID, be it UID or group ID of the current user or of any user for that matter. So this is very important when you are trying to find out or when you are trying to kill a process. Similarly, we have already seen cat command. It wouldn't let me open the file because I have changed its permission. So I can return back its permission to whatever you want to. Don't give full open permissions like 777, but for the sake of ease, we can do it right away and probably we can change. Next is cut command. Cut command is used for extracting a portion of the file using columns and delimiters. If you want to list everything in selected column, you can use the -c flag with cut command. For example, let us select the first two columns from our files. So I did cut -c1 -2. Right. So C is for cut, -c is for cut columns, and then delimiter. Right. So it is easy. It is easy playing with columnar data. We have a complete tutorial on SED, but just a quick touch. It is a text editor that can perform editing operations in a non-interactive way. The SED commands get its input from standard input file, and we can probably S for substitute. We can substitute whatever we want to substitute in a file. For example, if I want to substitute second to secondmost, it will substitute in that file. Right, so S is for substitute. For a complete 10 minutes video on this, you can browse our channel and find out the video on SCD as well. Let me try to copy this file to another file, and which can help us in our next command. So if you can see, we have created two files now. I've copied test2.txt, and then let me make some difference. But as you know, this is again read only. We'll have to change the permissions if I need to do something here. So let's give it all open permission, which is not recommended, but as it is just a demo. So now I can write in this file. So our next command is diff. I am trying to make a difference in these files so that you can see the usage of diff command. Diff command is used to find the difference between two files. This command analyzes the file and prints out the lines which are not similar. So let us say if you have two files, test and test2, it tells you that okay, this line is different in these both files. This basically covers all the basic commands. Last but not the least is history. You can type history -n, for an example history -200 to check last 200 commands, or you can repeat a particular command. So if you do history 10 or history n, it will showcase you, by default it shows you 200 commands. So that's more or less in our basic Linux commands. we have separate sessions for playing around with most of the commands. For example, grep, find, scd. You can browse our channel for 10-minute sessions on all of these commands. But to start with, I think you know the basics now, and we can probably proceed in our next session. So see you in our next session. It would be very quick live demo sessions, and these all sessions will make you a DevOps beginner for free. If you like this session, please like the video. If you did not like the session, please dislike the video. Subscribe to our channel, and in the comment let me know if I have missed some commands, or for a command you need a 10-minute session on one particular command. I'll probably upload that on the YouTube channel as well. Again, thank you so much. Let's meet in our next session. Bye.
Let it go.